Hey y'all, hey, what's good? It's your girl Nadi, aka Queen Goddess Hope. Thank you for tapping in with me. To everyone who views, my analytics look so bad on one account, but then I go to another account as a viewer and see the numbers. So I'm thankful that you take the time out to tap in with me. This is a conversation for most women, and I guess men can learn something from it too. I have 2 videos already that are talking about the moon cycle of a woman, and it appalls me how many women don't know like basic feminine hygiene tips or have an idea of what it truly means to be a woman. And I always say that the sun god Ra shines on us on a daily basis. It's really important for us to tap in with that energy. That is literally a source of food on multiple levels. I consider it like a form of sea moss, but for my soul. It gives me all the nutrients that I need to survive another day. When I don't have the sun, my entire energy is crazy. That's why I really enjoyed living in Nevada. It allowed me to have 300 plus days of sunlight. I think when I was there, less than 7 days time that I had like some type of terrible weather. The sun came out every day. So, we have to think of these gifts that were left for us, i.e. the sun and the moon. And if the sun gives us nourishment, what is the moon there to do? Oh, I know. It's there to guide the feminine energy, because there's always a balance. If the sun is a masculine energy, then the moon is its mother, to make sure that there is still some type of light shining down on us during all facets and parts of the day, except for that one time when it's a new moon cycle, because we honor the woman. So in that space where women are cycling with the new moon, you are known to be deeply intuitive and one who knows how to remove yourself away from energy that is no longer serving you, that you thrived for, shined bright for during the full moon cycle, because now you're ovulating, you're releasing, and what made me come into this thought today was looking at my own personal cycle. So I use an app called My Days, and I've been using this app for as long as we could download apps onto phones. It was like one of the first menstrual tracking apps on Apple. And when I was in school, I had a daily planner in high school. They gave all of us daily planners. We had to write our homeworks, notes, cover calendars. I was in like 8 different clubs in high school. Shout out to everybody that was in FBLA. Just thinking about these things and how I had always planned everything. So I started cycling when I was 11, and I lost my virginity when I was like 16, and I didn't have sex again until I was like 18, and it was with the same person. It was my boyfriend at that time, which was funny. Putting all the tea out here today. Say that all to say, from 16 years old, I decided to go on birth control. And it was only because my parents were teenage parents, and I did not want to also be a teenage parent. Even though I wasn't promiscuous, I was deathly afraid of my dad. He was a very strict parent and a very Bible-based home. So the last thing I wanted to do was be an example for my siblings, let alone those in our congregation. And I just didn't want that smoke. I say that all to say, I put myself on birth control, and then I didn't go off of birth control until I was 26. And then I didn't go off birth control because I started again when I got into a relationship with somebody else. And at that time I had just started college, and I had put off college for 9 years. I went into the workforce first and went to college later because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And when I was in this long-term relationship, I was like, there's no way a child is going to interfere with my education. I'm going to put myself on birth control. And at that time, I was kind of like on the preface of the genesis of awakening, if that makes sense to those who know. And it's like I was in the thought process of the project, if you will, of school, and I just knew that there was no way I wanted to create life and bring it into this world, because in my experience I didn't know many married individuals except for those in the church, and those people who were married had children or had their children while they were married. I didn't want to be a single mom. Again, teenage parents, out of wedlock, I didn't want that to be my same exact story. So I really did everything in my power to avoid that from happening, and helping me along that journey was tracking my cycle. So when these apps, menstrual tracking apps, such as My Days, it was simple, straight to the point. I don't need all these gadgets. I don't need stories. I don't need people telling me anything about my body that they are using statistics for. I am going based upon my knowledge. And my GYN, when I lived in Alabama, she was the thoroughest. She was like, physically count how many days on the calendar that you're supposed to ovulate. Physically, do these things. So I'll say this to say, I track who I'm intimate with, when I'm intimate with, when I ovulate, the day my menstrual starts, the day it ends, the type of symptoms that I have, what I may be craving. Pizza and wings is safe. What are your symptoms telling you? The entire week before my cycle, I do not eat junk food. My favorite go-to snack right now is still popcorn, because it is technically a healthy snack. And if you just get like a basic Orville Ren Baca, or whatever his name is, the red box with sea salt, it is so healthy. It's less than like 250 calories for an entire bag of popcorn, which is clutch. I could eat about 25 Cheez-Its and it's the same thing. Like, it's not as satisfying because I'm gonna want 25 more Cheez-Its. Just thinking about how a woman's body flows and what it does and what it craves, and the whole purpose of being in tune with Mother Earth. So for those who ovulate on the full moon, that means that your cycle starts on a new moon. And as I mentioned, you are extremely intuitive. You have this know-how, this intuitive high level of intuition, because you are genuinely cycling with Mother Earth during the same time that she's encouraging you to get in the light. And those who cycle on the full moon, it's not to say that you're not in your divine, luxurious, feminine energy. It is just encouraging you to look at your life a little bit closely and find out why you are not cycling with the new moon. Because new moon is fertile energy. You want to be in line and in tune with that fertileness of Mother Earth. She is our divine mother. She is asking you to cleave to her and not to a man during this time. Black women are literally falling away from the wiles of the world and starting to go within. They are not interested in cuffing season. They do not want to save somebody's son from homelessness. They don't care all that shit that you're talking about, how you want to come back around and realize all of their worth. They don't care about that shit no more. okay? If you are who you say you are, pour that love into yourself before you come over here. People are recognizing that their low vibrational chakras is what has kept them in a loop, and a lot of women are breaking free from that. And this is why Black men feel penalized or discriminated against or outcast, even, because the focus is and has always been on the Black woman. And the sooner that you get out of that jealousy bag as a masculine energy and start embracing and cleaving to that divine feminine energy, you too will get out of that low vibrational root, chakra energy, and move up to that sacral energy and continue to move higher. Yo, the sounds is on 1,000 right now, bro. It never fails. It's just not, I really don't have anything to say. Never fails. So it's like this. If you are cycling with the full moon, and a lot of people probably don't even recognize that they're cycling on different cycles because they don't pay attention to the moon cycles. When there are 4 different phases, key phases, that will allow you to understand where you are energetically. And you can actually learn the phases of your counterpart as well with those moon phases. I dated a Cancer for a long time, and knowing that Cancers are, their animal is a crab, you do a deep dive into what crabs are like, what their environments are like, what their attitudes and personalities are like, what their habits are, and you recognize that it all has to do with the tides, high and low tides. What do those tides look like? How do Cancers react to those moon cycles? And I guarantee you, when you learn those cycles, you actually understand who you're dating, especially if you're dating a Cancer. So I say that all to say, if you are a feminine energy who is thriving, cycling off of a full moon, then you really need to reel that shit in and figure out where you have some issues. So you're probably looking at this thing on my head, and this is my side sleep mask. So I put this on, and it is pitch black darkness. Like right now, I have no sunlight. I can feel it permeating on the black because you know what it attracts. But this is my side sleeper mask. It is adjustable, and I could probably link it from my Amazon page from here. And then inside, as you can see, it has the holes for where your eye sockets go. It is washable, and it is a side sleeper's mask. So on the side, it has this powdered puffy cushion to where you really can't see anything. And I can assure you that me sleeping with this face mask, and I have been sleeping with face masks for several years now, I just don't want to put this on the floor because I am outside, and I wanted to throw this in the washing machine. So I sleep on my left side because they say that's the best side to sleep on for blood flow, circulation, digestion, especially if you eat late, and you just sleep better. Lately, I have been sleeping better on my back. So regardless of what happens, I don't like to sleep with a television in the room. I do my best to use my cell phone if I need to, with light, another light being on or dimly lit somewhere else, or I'll use the flashlight on my cellular device to give me a light that offsets the blue light. And then now I have blue light glasses that I also wear when I'm on the phone, on the computer, you know, knowing that these things will be lengths of time. It's genuinely helped me tremendously, and it helps me remove that attachment from devices anyway. What is the point of Nadia bringing up the importance of a sleep mask and wearing protective frames, or just removing the light away from your psyche for the last hour of your awakening state before you go to rest for the evening or the day whenever you do so? So the consistent light from your cell phone, falling asleep to the television being on, having a television in your room in general, not having your room pitch black dark. Do you have blackout curtains? Is there some type of light lit? Sometimes they come from TV, sometimes they come from devices that are just plugged in. I know I'm so sensitive to just any type of light, even the light from the smoke detector drives me crazy. I had a carbon monoxide alarm in my room, and I had to move it outside of the hallway, right outside of my door, because the light was just way too intense. It was like a red bright light. So me getting the sleep mask, you know, for the side sleepers, because again, I always had a sleep mask, but there's always some type of light that still permeates in, and it doesn't allow you to fall into a deep sleep, into a deep REM sleep. You know, for my Mary Jane lovers, sometimes you don't dream because of the chemicals that are in the Mary Jane that's going to cause you to not fall into a deep REM sleep, that dream state. You know, it says that you are going into REM sleep. You have to go through all the phases before you get to REM sleep. I feel like there's like 4 phases before you get to the final. And it's like you're continuously going into those phases. So depending on your lifestyle, depending on the foods that you're eating, depending on if you're reading the labels, depending on if you're only using all natural products on your body, depending on your water intake, depending on your physical fitness, what is the most amount of walking that you do? If you work a corporate job, do you only get 2,500 steps in a day? I remember sitting at my desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, probably a half an hour lunch, before I became rebellious and just started taking fucking hours. And you know, thinking about, I was that person, 1,500, 2,500 steps a day, which is why I love walking today. You know, out of town today on a visit, and I walked an hour just to get to a tourist location. And it, again, I boast about this, it is the middle of November, and it's legitimately like 80 degrees outside. Right now, the outside temperature is probably 45. Overnight, it was 38. The sun beating on my chest, this is why I have so many clothes on right now, because it was genuinely cold out here. But I knew as soon as I got in the sun that I would feel warm. So, you know, thinking about all of these things, you can simply adjust to Mother Earth's timeline by removing certain things and habits. It's as simple as what's in your bedroom. That's really it. Do you have a television in there? If so, get rid of it. If you have a television in there, try not to have the black mirror facing your bed. Try not to have any mirrors facing our beds. You know, I thought about how back in the G-Day, we used to get those heavy duty solid wood dressers and bed sets that weigh 100 pounds just to move across the room, so you never moved it. But often, many times, there was a mirror that came with the dresser that was like the 3 long, or 6 dressers, sometimes 9, and then you had that big, like half moon mirror, sometimes square, so many different styles over your dresser. But many of times that closed space would have the mirror directly reflecting over your bed. And still people don't recognize that this is a portal. You know, last year when I was living in Alabama, I recognized that there were 2 mirrors that were on each side of the room, one here from that old school dresser and one just hanging over my door to give me like a full view of my outfit. I didn't create the room that way. You know, I'm at my mom's house, so that's how she created the room to be. But the first thing that I did going into that space, because it was supposed to be a healing space, I covered all the mirrors in my space. And I did that for the whole year that I was there. The only time I looked at myself in the mirror was when I went to the restroom. And I was okay with that. And sometimes you don't recognize that you're allowing portals or opening portals. You don't know what's happening while you're asleep. You don't know what that black mirror on your television is doing to you. You know, some people put a sleep timer on, but then they'll still wake up because their entire genesis phase of sleeping was obstructed by light from the television. So you got this sleep timer on, you turn it off, and then all of a sudden you have a mirror looking at you while you're sleeping. So remove the mirrors away from your bed, looking directly at your bed. So if your bed is like right here, you don't want a mirror right here or right here or right here. Behind, maybe, probably not, but that's up to you and your freaky ass. You know, sometimes people got mirrors on the ceilings. You go to those like loop style hotels, you know, remember back in Jersey back in the day. Oh man, I'm talking too much, but you know, they had like hotel rooms that were different types of designs, and sometimes they had hot tubs in there, sometimes they had shit on the ceiling, just obscene, okay? Obscene. Wow, places that had no business being, you hear me? The fact remains, just make sure that your space is as dark as possible. There's no lights. When you turn off the light, it sounds like y'all afraid of the dark. You know, just turn off the light and make sure that you are in a deep, dark, cool space. 68-degree temperature, 70 for those people who like to be cold. I like to sleep with my window cracked. I like that cool, crisp air coming in. Sometimes you could feel the breeze. It is like the best thing that you can do for your life. I'm telling you right now. It's like you don't even realize that you needed that extra coolness to sleep deeper. And because I have always been conscious of this information, because I have been tracking my cycle since I was 16 years old, because, you know, I'm able to bestow this information over you or upon you. You know, when you're washing your body parts, feminine body parts, don't be afraid to go into the crack. You know, make sure that you're using water to cleanse your lady parts. Especially, you don't need any chemicals, and if you are using chemicals, consider black soap. I use Dr. Bronner soap at times. Sometimes I use Dove's Shea Butter soap. It lathers so nicely on my African rag. You know, just make sure you have as many like organic ingredients as possible. And even when it comes to our deodorants, you know, we what's the word I wanted to use? Your body can get used to your deodorant. So it's important for you to have multiples, you know, on deck. And I love that we know that, you know, about our bodies. So just make sure that you aren't afraid to take a look, get the mirror out, pop that shit open and start observing what's in there. You know, start appreciating your body for what it is. You know, recognize that you don't need chemicals. You shouldn't even be putting chemicals in that area. Exfoliating is technically important, you know, for those who do waxing and such. You know, the importance of knowing that it's okay to have hair on your private areas. In fact, your body utilizes every single thing on your body. Every single thing on your body has a purpose. So think about what happens when you remove these things. I think about these freaking lashes that y'all be wearing. And I'm like, y'all don't even know that you're removing, at times, your lashes. And the more you do this, you're setting yourself up for failure. Let's just be frank. With the sun heating up to a point where it's probably not ever going to get cool weather at some point, because the sun is just going to be so hot. You removing your lashes is going to prohibit you from protection from you perspiring. That is the purpose of these items. When you're sweating, it's not going to go in your eye. That saltine infused teardrops or sweat drops, they're protected from your eyes. Your eyes are a key piece to your life. You cannot do very many things without good eyesight, keen eyesight. Do you know what I mean? So just remember, if you have a bush, when you pee, urine, your bush, as women, your hairs make it drip in a straight line. When you have none, that should be like, shh. This is why you have pee all over the toilet seats. You know, because you don't have that key ingredient to protect you. Your vagina becomes so much more drippy when it has those follicles of hair to just kind of trap them in, or to use one another to get the juices flowing. You know, are you utilizing your maca powder? You know, for years and years, I thought that something was wrong with me. I was like, I'm losing my sex drive. You know, I don't get as aroused with said person I was in a long-term relationship. And I really genuinely was like, it's either the birth control or it's me. And so I got rid of the birth control, and I was just like, okay, so I think it's really just me. And I was like, the only way to alleviate this problem is to get rid of the man, because I'm a sexual being as an erotic poet, of course. There's no way that I'm not excited or aroused to be intimate with my partner. So I started taking maca powder. And when I'm intimate with myself at that time, when I first started, I had no problems. And then when I was intimate with said person, I was just like, no, it's not there. So I realized that it was the person. So that's a gem for somebody too. You know, sometimes we as women just have to pay attention to the signs, you know, and make sure that we are in sync with the system called Mother Earth. They are there for a reason. Honor Sun God Ra, honor Mother Earth, get in sync with her. Understand that it is okay to be in sync with Earth and not society, because you're always supposed to be in sync with Earth and not society to begin with. But they've introduced all of these toxic things, such as a cell phone, into our lives that has caused us to feel off balance. I had been watching something on Apple TV last night before this ridiculous conversation that I had for 2 hours. And I haven't really been doing much talking, except for when it comes to releasing energies. And it was about how Mother Earth welcomed life back, aka the animals back into nature. There were a lot of extinct animals that were able to have babies and nest in peace thinking about me being in the logistics and shipping industry, knowing that I'm shipping containers all around the world at any given time, trucks on the roads, you know, thinking about how the ozone layer was able to close up and heal some spaces, thinking about how humpback whales, killer whales, turtles, schools of fish, just all of these different things were able to thrive and communicate in ways that we had never, ever seen since humans started studying animals. So when you remove the people out of the equation and thinking that you need to interfere with God's creation, they realized that Earth thrived better without their assistance, because animals have a task and a duty and a job on this planet. They never needed a human to tell them how to survive and thrive on this earth. We as humans never needed another human to survive and thrive on this earth when our calling and our life comes from the Most High God. When you are a chosen person, you know who you are. You don't need someone to tell you how to thrive. So use this opportunity to get back in line with Mother Earth so that you can become free as fuck. Peace. Have a great day.